All eyes are on Ohio State as the Buckeyes aim to lock down the nation's top recruiting class.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Wednesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Simply visit FanDuel.com to get started. During today's show, we'll dive into the Buckeyes that will enter the portal when it opens next Monday, as well as this week's CFP rankings. But before we get to any of that, your Ohio State Buckeyes are aiming to lock down the nation's top recruiting class, and they're in a good spot to accomplish their goal, which should bring a smile on every Buckeye fan's face. I know it was a few days ago, but a lot of Buckeye fans are still in a state of, some of them are still in a state of mourning, still sad about the things going on with the program. The CFP ranking should bring a smile to your face, realizing the Buckeyes have a legitimate shot, and it's realistic that they might host a playoff game, but also realizing if you're able to lock down the nation's #1 recruiting class, you're doing a lot of things right, and you're helping to build a great foundation for the next 3 to 4, maybe even 5 years in Columbus, because it all still starts with the high school recruiting. I know the portal is still a thing, and we're going to talk a lot about the portal over the next few days and weeks, because that's going to be a great avenue for Ryan Day, these coaches, to filter in the holes on the roster. But also, you can't forsake the high school recruiting. You can't forsake developing the guys you've been pursuing to recruit for the past 2 to 3, maybe even 4 years. When you put all of that together, when the formula goes in and the national signing period is here right now, if everything goes right, Ryan Day's in a great spot when it comes to the recruiting aspect. That's one thing Ryan Day has done very, very, very well is recruit. Yes, you have missed on some, a Damon Wilson at South Carolina, a Mateo Uiagalelei, a Keon Keeley. You're not going to get them all. You can't get all the 5 stars you want. You can't get all the elite talent you want. You're going to miss on some, but you're also going to hit on some. And Ryan Day and Ohio State have hit on a lot of players. I mean, the fact that Ohio State got Jeremiah Smith to come up here from South Florida, think about what that means for him. Knowing that South Florida, it's a little bit different, but Brian Hartline, Ryan Day, Ohio State in general, do a great job of recruiting in Florida. Even going back to Urban Meyer's days, they do a great job of recruiting Florida, especially South Florida. And that's a big reason why Ohio State's offense has had the success at times that it's had this year. It's because Jeremiah Smith and the recruiting of guys all across the country. Currently, right now, at the time of this recording, we pushed this recording back a little bit later in the day, in the morning, because I wanted to kind of highlight the guys that had already signed on the first day of the early signing period. It goes through Friday, and there's currently 15 guys right now that have already signed. There are a couple more that we're watching to see what move they make. A couple of them you already know. Name offered, talented 5-star corner from Alabama, and then also TJ Alford from Florida, a linebacker from Florida. Those are the 2 guys that I'm watching very, very closely. They're currently Ohio State commits verbally. They have not put pen to paper yet, at least at the time of this recording. Alford is one that's kind of up in the air. I thought it was a lock that him and Tim Walton had that connection, that they were going to pursue that and keep that thing going for Alford to sign with Ohio State, but now Oregon's in the mix. Auburn, the in-state school, is not far from him. He's taken a lot of visits to Auburn. That may be where he goes if he ends up flipping and going to another school. It could be the Auburn Tigers over the Oregon Ducks. But also with TJ Alford, Miami's making a great push to get him late. Does he want to stay in-state, or does he want to go to Ohio State? I believe him and James Laurinaitis have a good relationship. So I just up in the air. You truly don't know. Family ties, his ties. Does he want to go that far away from home? Does he want to go to Ohio State? Does he want to stay to the in-state? There are a lot of factors here that go into these decisions. And let's just say Ohio State doesn't get name offered. They still have the #1 corner in the country already signed with the Buckeyes and Devin Sanchez. Some other guys on defense that have already signed with Ohio State. Maxwell Roy, defensive tackle, corner. Jordan Woods, Trajan Odom, defensive tackle, linebacker Eli Lee, Fahim Delane, a kid that I cannot wait to see play in Columbus, Deshaun Stewart, a safety, and then Cody Haddad also signed with Ohio State. I believe Haddad was the first one to sign when the early signing period opened a little after 7 a.m. Eastern time. On the offensive side of the ball, he's an in-state kid. He's a quarterback. He's a 5-star. I believe he's a number one quarterback in the entire recruiting class. And Tavien St. Clair. Many people are thinking and already saying St. Clair is the next guy to start at Ohio State, assuming that after Julian Sand. People are saying and believing that Sand's going to be the next quarterback at Ohio State to start next year and the year after. And then after him, it's Tavien St. Clair's turn to be called to take the title of QB1 in Columbus. I'm not ready to go that far yet. I know Alford is really good and all these guys are really good. That jump is going to be a lot. It may take him a little bit longer to get his feet under him before he's ready to start in Columbus. I'm not saying he will or he will not, but I'm not ready to go ahead and pencil him in and saying, oh, in a couple years he's going to start. I'm not ready to say that just yet. But what we have seen from Tavien St. Clair, he has the goods. He has the tools to be a good, solid college football quarterback. And if he progresses like we think he can, oh my goodness, he could be one of the guys we talk about 10, 15, 20 years down the road after his career is over because of how well he played football there in Columbus. He has the size. He has the frame. He could put on muscle, but he also has that arm. He was a baseball player, and I think that's a big reason why he's able to sling the rock like he does. But, man, he can make all the throws in a way that I don't normally see high school quarterbacks make those throws. Tavien St. Clair is going to be a guy. But then also there's some other guys on offense that have already signed. Brody Lennon, a tight end. A few linemen, Jake Cook, a center. David McFadden, a guard. Carter Lowe, a tackle. Then also Isaiah West and Bodpin Miller, in-state kid. He's an athlete playing receiver, a guy that really wowed Brian Hartline there at a recruiting camp over the summer, got an offer. And when he got the offer, I'm sitting here thinking, like, what is he going to be? What position? Hartline has a vision of him playing receiver in Columbus, and I cannot wait to see what happens down the road with that. All these guys, all 15 of these guys are really, really good. I do still expect, don't really have any reason to not think that Bo Jackson, in-state kid, in-state running back, is going to sign. Phillip Bell, Desi Jones, Quincy Porter, Nate Roberts, Zion Grady, Jarquez Carter, and Riley Pettijohn. I have no reason to think those guys will not sign. There is a belief that the Buckeyes might get a flip of a 5-star receiver during this stretch of 3 days. So if that happens, that just adds to what Ohio State's trying to do right now. Aiming to get the number one recruiting class in the country is huge. It's a great way to keep things going in the right direction for Ohio State. And it's a great way to maybe fill in the holes and fix some of the issues in the roster right now. It all goes back to high school recruiting. Yes, there's the portal, and I think Ohio State must use the portal to probably get 5 to 8 to maybe 10 guys every single cycle to just filter in maybe a depth piece. You've seen Ryan Day go out there and get Tristan Gebbia, a former starter at a few schools previously at Oregon State, multiple years, at Oregon State. All of a sudden, he comes to Ohio State. It is more of a stabilizer, more of a leader in the room. I'm not saying Ryan Day is going to go out there and automatically get a starter at every position, but I do believe you can go out there and get depth at key positions where Ohio State needs to add depth at before the 2025 college football season. Before we get to the 2025 season and before the early signing period is over, the CFP rankings were released, and it's one thing is clear about this committee. They like Ohio State, and Ohio State, even after a loss to their rival, after 2 losses in the regular season, they're in a good spot to host a playoff game this year. This episode is brought to you by Better Together. Bracket busted, but want to stay in the game? Introducing Better Together. It's the first cooperative daily fantasy platform where teamwork triumphs talent and you can play with your friends, not against them. Pick more or less on real-time player stats, strategize with your partner to boost your odds, and climb the leaderboard together. So grab a friend, and join the social daily fantasy sports movement. Better Together provides a sense of camaraderie and enhances the social experience of watching sports. Better Together is a way to stay connected with friends when you can't watch sports together in person. Better Together puts your group chat to the test and lets you prove yours is the best. Download Better Together now from the App Store and sign up using promo code LOCKEDON for a free $5 entry into any NCAA basketball contest. Play with me in a contest on Saturday. Remember the code LOCKEDON because winning alone is fun, but it's better together. Thank you all for tapping into Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. One thing we know about this committee, when Ohio State had one loss, the committee still loved them. Now that they have two losses, the committee still loves the Buckeyes, and that's why they're in a great spot to potentially host a playoff game in a couple of weeks. We won't know officially if the Buckeyes will host a playoff game until selection Sunday, which is this coming in just a few days. It's really weird, man, to be in this spot waiting to find out. You know you're going to be in there. Will you host a game? That's major intrigue. That's what Ohio State wants. You want to host a playoff game. And not only does Ohio State's brand mean something, the team has played well enough, in my opinion, to be able to host a game this year. 10 through, let's go 12 through 1 in the CFP rankings to see where the committee ranks these top, who they think are the top 12 teams in the country. 12, Miami. 11, Alabama. 10, Boise State. 9, IU. 8, SMU. 7, Tennessee. 6, Ohio State. And here's 5 through 1. Georgia, Notre Dame, Penn State, Texas, and Oregon. Now, when it comes to the playoff bracket, the top 4 conference champions automatically get a bye. 1 seed in the bracket is Oregon, 2, Texas, 3, SMU, and 4, Boise State. Still weird to me that a G5 school has a bye, but that's how they view Boise State. Maybe it's because of the Ashton Genty love. Cool, I don't really mind it, but that's where they currently sit. We're going to go. Let's go through the other rankings to see what the potential matchups could be if the playoff were right now, and you'll see who Ohio State would be potentially matched up with. 5 would be Penn State. They would be set to host Arizona State. 6 in the bracket is Notre Dame. They would host Alabama at number 11. Number 7 in the bracket is Georgia. They would host number 10 in the bracket, IU. And then number 8 in the bracket is Ohio State. They would host number 9 in the bracket, Tennessee. It's very annoying to me that we have to say, well, the bracket ranking is this, but the official ranking is this. But why is this way? Because the people that are making these decisions have been doing this for decades, and nobody out there has said, y'all got to stop. And they have just kept going on this trend to continue to make these decisions. And here we are right now on December 4th, complaining of the same thing we've been complaining about for decades. That the people in charge of this sport, for some reason, keep making bad decisions, but the conferences keep going along with it. Because somebody make it make sense. Because I think I'm a fairly smart person. I think I can put 2 and 2 together very easily. Y'all, this don't make no sense. It hasn't made sense for decades. Now, I was a fan of the BCS. I think the computer stuff could have been tweaked a little bit, not had the conference bias that it had, but I still think that I valued the BCS format a whole lot better than what we got now. If you give me the BCS ranking with a playoff, even if it's a 6 or 8 team playoff, that'd be way better than this nonsense. If you want to give me a 12-team playoff, give me the top 12 teams in the country. Put them in a playoff. Don't do this. Oh, no, you're a conference champion. Top 4 ranked, you're going to get a buy. Miss me with that nonsense. You want to see the top 12 teams compete to win a national championship. You don't want to see somebody in there that shouldn't be there, but that's what we're going to get because these people continue to make bad decisions. I was not trying to rant today. I've done a lot of ranting this week. Did it on Monday. I may have done it yesterday. I'm not even sure. I think I was pretty calm. We talked about Ryan Day here on the show. But Buckeyes can host, man. Could it be Tennessee? Yeah. One thing Ward Manuel said, who is the chairman of the committee, he said that the teams that are not playing right now cannot add to their resume, cannot add to their data point, and they have seen everything they need from them to know what type of team they are. So there's not going to be any talking points or data that can be added to Ohio State's resume or Tennessee's resume or any of that, regardless of what happens this weekend, that can either help or hurt the Buckeyes as far as what Ohio State can do to help itself. And I actually think that's kind of smart. Now, the one thing I think that the committee might do in Ohio State's favor, let's just say Penn State loses on Saturday. That's the team Ohio State played in the regular season. The Buckeyes beat the Nittany Lions in Happy Valley. Let's just say Penn State loses, and I have Oregon favored to win that game. And the committee says, well, we know that Ohio State beat Penn State in the regular season. However, Penn State has more wins. So Penn State's going to be ranked higher than Ohio State in the final ranking. And also because they're the second best team in the conference based off a tiebreaker between them and Indiana, that also propels them over Ohio State. And they say that part of Penn State's resume keeps them above Ohio State at the end of the day. That could be why Ohio State does not host a playoff game. Because right now, what are they? They would be the 8th seed. So they're really just right on the cusp of not being able to host a playoff game. At the same time, the committee could say, yeah, Penn State has 11 wins, and they still may have lost the Big Ten championship in this very scenario. But Ohio State won the head-to-head. And with Ohio State winning the head-to-head matchup, we value that head-to-head more than Penn State having more wins and more than them making it to the conference championship game. We're going to have to wait and see what the committee does. But what we know is that Ohio State is not in control of them hosting a playoff game because they didn't take care of business on the field. I'm not trying to pick a scab. I'm just trying to talk about reality. The Buckeyes didn't take care of business on the field. And right now they are allowing where they play in the playoff to be controlled by a lot of other teams out there in the country. It's not a good place to be. It's not a good spot to be in. And if I'm Ryan Day, if I'm Chip Kelly, if I'm Jim Knowles, if I'm any of these leaders, use this as fuel. And make sure your mindset is not to go out there and try to prove you're tough or not to go out there and try to win the rushing battle in that way that you did on Saturday. I believe there was a way that Ohio State could have won the rushing battle against Michigan, but that wasn't the way to do it. Nowhere close. Not at all. But if you think you have to go out there and prove you're tough, to prove you're a physical team, to prove you don't have mental hurdles to get over, to prove X, Y, or Z, that game plan that we got over the weekend might be the game plan that Ohio State throws out there time after time after time. But once again, it's Ohio State. And do I think Ohio State at home should be favored over Tennessee? Yes. But also, I think Tennessee is a good football team. It's a solid football team. If that happens and you get Ohio State versus Oregon in a rematch, that's probably in the Rose Bowl. Sign me up for that every day of the week and twice on Sunday, because that's the matchup we thought we were going to get in the Big Ten championship game before the season. If we get that in the Rose Bowl this year, the granddaddy of them all, I'm here for it, man. I am here for it. Also, one thing about Ohio State, we all know Ohio State brings eyeballs to anything that they're doing. Basketball. I mean, even if it's Ohio State volleyball, you flip through the Big Ten network. Oh, volleyball, cool. I'm going to watch it. Why? It's Ohio State. I mean, it's the block means something. We probably won't have to worry about Ohio State playing a noon game or a 4 o'clock game during the playoff, unless it's a Rose Bowl. Rose Bowl is going to be a 5:15 kick due to, the placement of the stadium and trying to get that that New Year's Day vibe that's been going on for decades. I ain't got a problem with that one. But you're probably going to get Ohio State playing in the playoff game either on a Friday night or on a Saturday night, and it's going to be a night game. It's Ohio State. Just think about that. So all the complaining we have done about Ohio State playing noon games and not having enough night games and really complaining about big noon kickoff. Fox does not have any games in the playoff. The first round, it's TNT and ESPN, and I believe the quarterfinals throughout the rest of the playoff, it's all ESPN. Cool. And I cannot wait to get Fowler and Herb Street on the call. I can't wait for that. Get Molly McGrath for the sidelines. I know she does. Probably wouldn't before that game. They might have a sideline reporter on each sideline. Give me Molly McGrath on Ohio State sideline. Holly Garreau can go on Tennessee sideline. Just do that thing. Make it a big-time matchup. Laura Rutledge, cool. Bring her and Molly McGrath on to that big-time broadcast team. Cool. I prefer that. I think that would be a great way to kind of hype up Ohio State football. And things about ratings, man, you don't expand the playoff unless you want more ratings and more money. And everybody and their mama knows that Ohio State brings just that. What Ohio State is also doing right now is not only bringing eyeballs to the TV screens, but also watching to see what players are potentially going to go to the portal when it opens next Monday. And we got an update during recording the show of a player that's going to enter the NFL draft We'll talk about all that next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, and it's all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Simply visit fanduel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. All the action goes down in two places, on the FanDuel Sportsbook app and at fanduel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank y'all for tapping into Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. It's been quite a while since I've been in the middle of recording a show, and there's been some news that has broke that is so important we got to throw it right in the middle of the show. But here we are right now. It is regarding Josh Simmons. He is foregoing his final year of collegiate eligibility to enter the 2025 NFL draft. He got that injury against Oregon. It's never fun. He was a guy that I think was progressing very, very well throughout the season at left tackle, multi-year starter for Ohio State. And I do think he's going to be one of those guys that has the ability to rise up draft boards over the next few weeks and over the next couple of months leading into the draft there in the spring of 2025. Simmons is fun, man. A great guy. It was a great find in the portal. You think you're going to find a guy in the portal that's going to be able to help you, but when Ohio State drastically needed help in the at left tackle, Simmons filled that void. He filled that hole, and he did it so well. And it was fun watching him play and progress. But right now, speaking of the portal, I have a list of positions that Ohio State, I believe, needs to tap into and pursue in the portal. Left tackle is one of them. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to save my answer here in a second. Have you seen enough from any of the guys that you believe are going to return from Ohio State this year that any of them is a surefire guy to start at left tackle in 2025? And I pause on purpose. I want you to think about that. I have not. I haven't seen enough from any of the guys to think that the guys that are going to be playing next year have showed me enough that they are going to be a surefire left tackle in Columbus. You know, next year you're going to have a new quarterback and you're going to have a new left tackle protecting his blind side. That's going to be something that it needs to be at the top priority for Ohio State. You are the Ohio State Buckeyes. You have a big brand. You have NIL at your disposal. You have so many things that are resources to help you out in this situation that right now you can't. This is something you can't miss on. You can't miss on the left tackle. You can't keep having guys that aren't properly developed on the offensive line. You can't do that. And so with Simmons going out, I'm happy for him. Not mad about the decision. But for Ohio State and Justin Frye, Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, they got to get to work. Work ain't stopping. You got to tap into the portal, the recruiting, the high school kids, and put a game plan together for a team you don't know who you're playing yet. You got a lot of things to do. Because right now, what we have seen, not good enough on the offensive line. One guy goes down, two guys don't go down. The development isn't there. And it's been concerning for a while. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be this year when guys got hurt. But ultimately, happy for him. This just adds to the fuel to the fire that Ohio State needs to go out there and tap into the portal and make sure left tackle is a priority for you. Also, a couple guys that are already announced that they're planning to enter the portal when the portal opens next week. It doesn't open until Monday. So guys are saying they would enter the portal a little bit earlier than the portal being open. I always find that odd, but I also understand it. Like if a team knows that you have a skill set that they might like and they know you're going to go into the portal, they might hop on you quicker than they may plan to hop on any player right now. First one, Gabe Powers has announced that he's going to be entering the portal when it opens on Monday. And also, oh my goodness. Jaden Ballard. I don't know why his name escaped me. I just saw it this morning before hopping on the show. And both of those guys there didn't really get on the field very much. Gabe Powers, special teams guy, very solid, has 2 years left of collegiate eligibility. And then Ballard only has one. And one thing about these two guys is I think Powers is going to be he has the ability to be a multi-year starter. Ballard, once it clicks, it's more so if it clicks, because I think Ryan Day said Ballard needs to step up, and I'm thinking step up. He's been there for a while, but also he just got passed up by young guys. Right? Hartline did a great job at recruiting. Passed up by Jeremiah Smith, passed up by Brandon Ennis, by Carnell Tate, by Bryson Rogers. Some maybe say Marlon Graham, but I don't think Marlon Graham played more than Ballard this year. If he did, I missed that. Ballard just got passed up. Things didn't really click when you saw him on the field. He has a speed, but the nuances with the route running and the crispness and the fluidity in the route running and the hands that are needed to be out there, he just never carried that. Maybe it could have been run blocking, but just everything just didn't click. So you got Simmons going to the NFL draft. You have Gabe Powers going to the portal. You have Ballard going to the portal. And my gut tells me there are going to be more guys from Ohio State, regardless of playoff positioning or not, that they're going to announce they're going to the portal before the portal opens up, and probably announce it before the playoff bracket is revealed on Sunday afternoon. Because that's a calendar, man. The calendar dictates when players announce that they're going someplace. I think it's very stupid. Very stupid. I don't say that very often about something being that stupid that it's really this annoying. The college football calendar is dumb. Why in the world would you have the early national signing period, the Wednesday through Friday, before conference championship games, knowing that some of the schools are playing a conference championship game on a Friday, and then the next day, you announce the bracket, which I'm cool. Conference championship games are done. You do that bracket on that Sunday afternoon. I mean, college basketball, they have the selection show literally right after the Big Ten championship game is concluded. So not mad about the selection show being on Sunday afternoon. But after that, the very next day, the portal opens. So if you're Ohio State and Ryan Day, you've got early national signing period. You're not preparing for a championship game. You're waiting for Selection Sunday to figure out where you're going to play and who you're going to play. Then the very next day, the portal opens. If I'm a player, I want to be on the playoff team, but I also want to be on a team next year where I can capitalize on the opportunity in front of me. There's so many things that I think right now are just so weird in this sport, but guys are going to the portal. Whatever you think about the portal, it's cool. I have my opinions. You have yours. The portal is going to open next Monday, and my gut's going to say there's going to be at least 5 guys. At least 5 that'll be Ohio State Buckeyes that are Buckeyes now that will be in the portal on Monday, because that's the calendar. It dictates decisions, and it's very stupid. Thank you all for tapping into Locked On Buckeyes here on a Wednesday. We'll be tapping into recruiting tomorrow, and then also more Buckeye football and basketball stuff as well throughout the rest of the week. You can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07, same handle on Blue Sky. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. We're up out of here, y'all, on a Wednesday. We'll see you next time.